Welcome to part 5, where we're going to deal with layout, objects, cameras, and lights. To create a scene for rendering, you're going to bring the geometry into the Solaris or LOPS context of Houdini. This is an environment dedicated to look, dev, layout, and lighting, and is built on the foundation of USD, otherwise known as the Universal Scene Description. This will allow you to render to the Karma render, which works right in the scene view as part of the Solaris workflow. So we're going to start by changing the desktop to Solaris. So this is actually a separate network, and you can find it. So if you click on this, the object level is where we were before, and you can even go there in this desktop, but you also want to go to the stage level. That's where it's a different area where we're going to build a new network of nodes that's going to make this work. So we're going to go into here and go tab scene import. Now note, I set a backdrop here. If you press D, the background here is set to be dark, and we don't need the grid for this. So we've got the scene import here, and let's call this soccer ball. And we're going to set the destination path to /geo, so it's goes into a geometry folder. And under the force objects field, this forces an object, even if it's hidden at the geometry level, it's going to come in. If we do just objects, it will respect whether something is displayed or not displayed at the object level. We may turn it off later, so in that case, we still want to bring it in. And we're going to go get soccer ball geo and accept the pattern. And there we go. We've got our soccer ball in the view, looking good. Okay, so now we can use our same view tools to sort of zoom around, get this looking the way we want, and there we go. Now we want a bit of a backdrop for this, so in the network view we're going to go tab grid, and we're going to place that down. And we're going to rename it backdrop. And we're going to take this up here and we're just going to wire that into the soccer ball. So now we have a grid and a soccer ball. So when this all happens, only things that are wired together will show up. If we just display the backdrop on its own, we don't see the soccer ball. We need the soccer ball and the flow through there. Now the soccer ball is not on the ground, so what we want to do is we have a thing called match size, which is similar to what we had at the other level. And what we're going to do is we want that to work. So you take, if you go here and you get soccer ball geo, we can drag that up to here, and then we can say justify Y minimum, and that pushes that up. So just like we could do match size is something that we could use at the geometry level, we can also use it here at the Solaris or LOPS level. Okay, now once we have that, we can go into, double click into the backdrop, and we're going to select the grid node, and we're going to change the size to 80 and 80, and the center to 0, 0 and -20. So that's going to go on like this. Now we're going to right click out the end of this, and we're going to type bend. I'm going to place that down. And once we have that, we're going to go down here. We're going to set this to 75. That's going to bend that. But it's not really going in the right direction. So if we go down to the capture area here, we want the capture origin to be 0, 0 and -30. Capture direction to be 0, 0, -1. And the capture length to be 5. So it just sort of fades off a little bit. And then we can right click on the output of this, do a subdivide, and just add some detail in there just to smooth that out. And we can set that to 2 if we want, just to get a little more smoothing. Now if we go back up to the stage level, you'll now see there is our soccer ball sitting sort of lonely with a backdrop there. And what we want to do now is set up a camera for that. So there's two ways to do that. One is we can set up the view, set up a view here, and then when we add a camera, it'll look at that view. The other option is we can just go camera and just add that there. And if we go home, you'll see we have this. So then what this would allow us to do is we're going to move this forward. We're going to move this over. And we're going to move that up a little bit and see if that works. Okay, and now we can look through the camera like this. And it's a little off, so we can take the handle here and we can bring this back over here. We want to get closer to it, we can click on this handle here. We can also click this tool, which would allow us to use the view tools like the space bar and so on to get that in to do what we want. So that's another option there. If you're going to use that, I'd turn that off at the end just to make sure that you don't cause a problem down the line. Okay, so now we're going to click on environment light, and we're going to add environment light into the scene. We can click this so we don't hide it, so we don't see it. And we're going to set the intensity to this to 0.5. Now, to see what this looks like, what we're going to do is go here and render with Karma XPU. And this is going to give us a rendered version of this, which is great. Now, while you're doing that, if you want to denoise it, which makes it just resolve a little bit faster, you can click on there. Now, it highlights the selected object, so if we click on there, then we can just focus on the rendering. Now, we want to add another light, so we're going to add in just a point light. Now, by default, it changes the camera angle to look through the light, which is one way we can tumble around and that, but that's only if it's locked. But what we really want to do is go to the camera, and we're going to make our lighting decisions here. So we have an option here called the shadow, and you can press Shift F to get that. We're going to go Shift F1 to hide some of those details there. Now once we have this shadow option, what that means is we can say I want a light from here, and then I'm going to go Shift and have the shadow hit that point right there. If we press Control and we click drag, we can move the intensity up, and that starts to get us more of the shadow that we're looking for. We could also just take this and maybe go 200 or maybe 500 and get a lot more intensity there. We can also Control Shift drag, and that will also increase or play with the intensity, so that's an option there. And if we go really far up, we start to maybe go 1,000. Okay. So now we're getting a bit of a shadow there. We're getting the light to hit there. There we go. 2,000 really starting to bring some stuff out there. It's looking good. What we can also do is let's put another light down. And this time, again, look through the camera. This time we can use specular mode. And let's also put like 1,000 in there. And we're going to say we want that to come from over here, or we want that to come from over here. So by using the where we want the specular highlight to be, we can get a very specific look with that. So that's sort of exciting. And just like before, we can use some of the hotkeys to intensify that. So another node that's sort of interesting when doing this kind of thing is you can right-click on here and put down a light mixer. And this is an interesting node because it can take existing lights that you have, and you can, let's click on these sliders, click on these and drag these over to here. And this gives you a way of manipulating all your lights together as a group. So you can go in and say, oh, okay, I want to take the point light and I want to crank that up, or I want to crank that down. Maybe I'm going to bring that point light down a little bit. So you can explore that. You can also solo the lights. So what's the contribution of the dome light? What's the contribution of the first point light? Let's click on there. And what's the contribution of the second point light? So it's contributing there. And if you deselect there, then you get all of them together and you see what the result is there. So here you've seen how we've brought the geometry into the Solaris context. We've set up the geometry, set up the lights, and used the light mixer to sort of massage the lighting a little bit. In the next section, what we're going to do is actually assign some materials so we can render this out with the textures that we set up earlier.